I was creatively blocked for over 20 years, and this was news to me. I had no idea, and so I would love to share with you the signs that I essentially missed. The red flags that now, looking back, are so obvious. Hopefully, this can help you. Maybe you're also blocked. Why is this important to know? You might wonder. In order to become unblocked creatively and to have a free flowing, healthy relationship with creativity, you need to first identify what your blocks are and build some sort of awareness around it. So we need to call things by their real names. Correctly identifying where you are blocking yourself will help you tremendously. It has helped me tremendously. I was calling myself lazy for a long time, for example. Meanwhile, it wasn't laziness. It was really being overwhelmed and almost being stunned into inaction. Knowing that now, I have awareness around that. So I know when I am creeping towards that sort of behavior, and I can now stop myself before it becomes this major thing. So it's very important. I am going to go through sort of the signs that I missed, my own signs, and hopefully I will go through about what it looked like for me, so maybe you can help identify it in your own life. I will then go through what I have come to understand about it now that has helped me really move on from it, and what I really had to realize in order to overcome it. And so the first clue or red flag that I didn't know I could attribute it to creative block was this thing where I refused myself any fun. So I was refusing myself any fun. Now, what did this look like? I would only do things that I deemed useful, responsible, serious, productive. I would only do things that would fall under that category. And there was no room for anything that wasn't those things. So anything that was of the moment and frivolous or childish or hobbies, for example, I wouldn't allow myself any of it because it wasn't getting anything done. I couldn't ascribe it to something important. And so I just literally denied myself any downtime, any relaxing activity. I would basically look down on. So I wanted to fill every moment with functional activities. And I can give you an example of one of the ways that I would refuse myself any fun is, apart from the fact that I was not engaging in any form of hobby whatsoever, I would, for example, when I had a baby, when my child was a baby, during his nap times, instead of using that time to really just relax and maybe just watch some TV or read a novel or something like that, I would read only non-fiction books. I would listen to podcasts. I would, I just would think less of doing something sort of recreational, because I would think that I need to fill up every moment of my time with learning and, progressing and self-development and all of that stuff. So what I came to understand about this strategy, because everything you do in terms of blocking yourself is a strategy. It is a strategy that we employ, not necessarily consciously, but we are doing it to ourselves, and there's always a reason for it. So there's always something that you are getting out of it, even though it's not logical. Now, in my case, for refusing myself fun, what I needed to understand about this was that creativity, healthy, productive creativity, is play. You need to nourish your artist self, which is basically your inner child. That inner child needs freedom and nourishment and happiness and joy and play in order to be a productive artist. And that's something that I didn't get. I didn't see it like that. I didn't understand it like that. And it's now something that, now that I understand it, it's really helpful. It really changes the way you look at how you spend your time. I think we were all made to feel like in school that, anytime you were playing, you were somehow not working and you were wasting everybody's time, and it was just negative always. It was, to stop playing around, be serious, get the job done. And being a very responsible type of child, I think that was the message that I got. That drawing and painting, even though those are the things that I love doing the most, are somehow not, they're pointless activities. They just have no purpose. And, if you want to get the job done, you've got to leave those things to the side. You've got to now do the serious work. Hence why I was creatively blocked. So avoiding fun, I was essentially starving that inner artist, that inner child. And that was causing impaired creativity. So what I needed to believe to recover was that I need to keep in mind that play is work. Play is how you learn. Play and fun equals a happy artist, productive artist. Creativity can flow. The second way that I was blocking myself, the second strategy that I employed unbeknownst to me, was I was living as a total shadow artist. I first read this term when I did The Artist's Way. Julia Cameron is the first person I've ever heard talk about shadow artists. And when I started reading about this, I was like, this is eerie. This is me to a fault, to a T. This describes me perfectly. And she talks about shadow artists as people who hang around and find themselves always sort of surrounded by people that they consider to be real artists, but they somehow don't see themselves as real artists. And I did exactly that. They are people that will be in adjacent careers to the career that they actually want, but they won't admit to themselves that that's something that they want. They will find themselves often being critical or jealous towards people who are doing the thing that they actually want to do. Or even anybody who has had the balls to declare themselves as artists. You will feel critical and sort of jealous towards that person. How dare they be who they want to be. And basically, you're just too scared to admit to yourself or to declare yourself as an artist. And it is really scary to do. It's something that I've done this year for the first time in my life. I've declared myself an artist. Still scary to me, but has to be done. It is the truth, so there's no getting away from it. But what shadow artists also tend to do is they know in the back of their minds that they have this dream, hence why they are jealous towards other people sometimes, or nasty towards them, or critical, or why they hang out so much with other artists. And they actually look up to other people who are doing the thing that they want to do. And yet they know, because they're not doing it, they tend to really beat up on themselves because they're not going after their dream. So it's this vicious cycle of knowing that you want to do this thing, not fully realizing it, and then you know that there's something is off, and you know that there's something that you're not doing, and then you beat yourself up about that. And that really opened my eyes. It's like, this is me to a T. So to give you a bit of reference, when I started dating my then boyfriend, now husband, he was a musician, and I was just immediately drawn to him. And I think that was part of it, was I felt like, wow, he was the lead singer of a metal band. And I thought, wow, he has the real balls to declare himself what he feels he is, and really go and be that and do it, and not, well, I thought, he's not, he doesn't care what people think, and he's just like himself. And, I really admired that. I realized afterwards that he did care what people think, that he just went on stage regardless of his own anxiety or, whatever. And that we are all scared about being those things, but we still do it. And so after I started, while I was dating him, I was actually studying fashion design. But again, I actually wanted to study fine arts, but I just didn't have I just told myself that I wasn't talented enough, that I should just rather study fashion design. Not that that was any easier, I mean, God, but I first tried to get into graphic design, and then the course happened to be full by the time I had gotten my stuff in, and then I went to study fashion design. But I really wanted to study fine arts, but I couldn't admit it to myself. So I actually had a lot of shadow artist things that I was doing. I was always looking up to other people. And then the funny thing is, then I started working at a gallery. Again, not being an artist at a gallery, working at a gallery with artists. So, I mean, looking back now, it's actually quite funny. I didn't see it. But I think a lot of us do this. I think even if you're not an artist, I think there are things in all of our lives that we're not fully ready to admit to ourselves, because it's really scary. And it holds you back at the end of the day. But so what I came to understand about this strategy, why I was being an artist, because I could fully admit now I was definitely one. Why was I holding myself back? You're either ignorant of the dream that you have, or you just don't think that you have the capacity to be as creative as the other people that you declare or look up to as this real artist. So you think that they are more talented than you. You sort of hold them on a pedestal, and I definitely did that. And at the same time, I would feel sort of critical of them, I would be like judge, like Simon Cowell, basically. Catch myself saying or thinking like really Simon Cowell-y things. And then I'd just be like, where's that coming from? Now I know. Yeah, it could be that I really lacked, I don't think I lacked creative nourishment as a child, but I think a lot of people do lack creative nourishment as children. And so when you say show that picture to your parents or whatever, and someone goes, or whatever, I think that leaves a deep mark in your creative soul. Something just tells you that, okay, I don't have what it takes and I should just hide that part of myself. And, if I'm not immediately recognized as this talented creative genius, then I must not have what it takes. And that just simply is not, that is never something that you should go by on. That has no bearing on whether you are an artist or not. Like being a singer. Nobody's a fantastic singer when they're 5. Some kids are, but not every singer in the world that you listen to today was in the Mickey Mouse Club. But it's sort of it's a fixed mind problem, because you only want to attempt things that you think you're going to definitely win at. And I have definitely struggled with that because I craved external validation. I just didn't want to do something that I was going to be bad at first. And unfortunately, that's the only way you learn. But I can see now that you first have to do something badly if you're going to be good at it at all. And we just don't see everybody's bad sketches. We see everybody's beautiful paintings and all the successful things that they've done. But they don't have the bad poems and the bad movies, and they don't show those to you. But everyone has them. Another reason why you would be a shadow artist, and why I think I was one, was that I used to fantasize about all the things that I would want to be, like an artist, like a singer. I also wanted to be an actress at some stage. But I think it all had to do with the same thing. It's this form of self-expression that you craved having, that I craved having, and I just couldn't. It just was better for me to fantasize about it than actually give it a go and then fail, because that I felt would be devastating. Better to have it in the back of my mind as a could be, one day maybe, or but at least it's not a outright fail yet. Needless to say that it actually does feel like a failure if you keep deferring your dreams and you never do them, because now I am almost 40 and I'm only now admitting to myself that I want to be an artist, but better late than never. Another reason why you might be a shadow artist is that you might have been told as a child to be practical and to, pay the bills, and that is the responsible thing to do. And so, hence, art and doing things like that is somehow irresponsible, because you're not going to be able to pay the bills. So you are being told you will not pay the bills. And so you start seeing your own creativity as an act of rebellion somehow, as a sort of thing that you're doing that's incredibly irresponsible. We make these weird connections when we are young because we don't understand the nuance of what is being communicated to us. But what you need to believe to overcome this, what I needed to sort of get into my head to get over this shadow artist business, was that the only difference between a declared artist and a shadow artist was basically just audacity, not talent. It had nothing to do with talent. It's basically just having the balls to say, I'm an artist, and go for it. And sometimes that is the only deciding factor sometimes that stands between being one and being a shadow artist. The second thing is that you really just need to take your desires and your dreams really seriously. It's part of the great thing that you get to do when you do the artist way, is you get to slowly discover and recover and uncover and what does she call it, your buried desires and dreams. You get to recover and uncover those things, and they're so valuable that you can't undermine it. You can't sweep it under the rug. And the last thing is that you need to learn how to allow yourself to play. Because if you are a shadow artist like I was, this is something that you're going to need to learn how to do. I had to learn how to do it. Every time I would catch myself thinking or saying something that was to the tune of, this isn't serious, you need to do the serious thing, I would stop myself and remind myself that I needed to play if I wanted to be a productive, creative person. I needed to allow myself those fun things, the things that my inner child would enjoy doing, because repressing it does not bode well. The next horrible way in which I blocked myself and still struggle with a little bit today is our friend perfectionism. Or our not friend perfectionism. Yeah. I mean, what does this look like? I think everybody sort of knows, but you get so stuck in details that you lose sight of the whole. You become so overwhelmed with these little details that it takes you forever to do anything. You feel like you are walking in wet cement. It is so hard to start anything, and you hardly ever finish anything. The most detrimental thing about perfectionism that I think no one talks about is the fact that you never really feel like you get a win, because you hardly ever really do win, because you don't allow yourself to. You don't allow yourself to ever get to the finish line, because halfway through you find a million things that is wrong with what you're doing, and that reasons why you shouldn't continue, and you find fault with everything you do. And when you do have a win, which is like a miracle, you don't celebrate that win. You beat yourself up about how you could have done better. It really is debilitating. So I don't think I need to go into it anymore. You fixate on problems. It's just not a nice feeling. But the scary thing is that people I think people think that perfectionism is somehow a good thing. I will link the video that I am going to make about perfectionism down below, because I will go into more detail about what the difference really is between perfectionism and striving for excellence, because they are worlds apart and not the same thing at all. And you want to try and strive for excellence and not be stuck in perfectionism. But so perfectionism is a strategy to keep yourself stuck and to keep yourself creatively blocked. And wow, is it an effective strategy. Super effective. So what I needed to understand about this strategy was that this wasn't me having standards. This was a refusal to allow myself to move forward. And it was being stuck in this loop where you just won't allow yourself to progress. And you will find weird things to keep yourself stuck. And you are doing this because you are essentially shit scared. It's fear, and it's, I think Elizabeth Gilbert once said that perfectionism is fear dressed up in a fur coat or something like that. And I thought that was so perfect, because you feel like, or you think that you somehow have standards and that's why you're like that. But then you are so blind to the fact that it is holding you back, because you think it's so admirable that you're a perfectionist, and you don't recognize that it's actually such a debilitating illness almost. It's a really it's not good. It's resistance dressed up as having standards. That's how you need to see perfectionism. And to recover, it's really important to have empathy with yourself. This is something that has been hard for me. I have been notoriously hard on myself. Again, super proud that I'm so hard on myself. I mean, what was it getting me? It was getting me nowhere. Anyway, you need to understand, and I needed to understand, that failure was part of growing and making mistakes was necessary. By trying to avoid making mistakes, I was just holding myself back. How can you learn if you don't do anything wrong? How do you ever learn? It seems so obvious, but I mean, it never entered my brain. I just thought about winning, doing well, and if you can't do it, you might as well leave it. You know, it's like it's like a fixed mindset. It's an issue. And oh, yes. A very important mindset shift that I had to make around perfectionism is to realize that being perfectionistic is actually being overly focused on your own ego and not on serving other people, which is how you actually get over perfectionism, is by taking the focus off yourself and putting it onto what you could do for other people. Needless to say, this has been hard for me, especially with YouTube, which is why it took me 2 years to start recording a video, is because I would constantly be wondering and fretting over things subconsciously, not even consciously really. You know, how I would be received or what people would think about me. And then I just realized, fuck, who cares? Who cares? Like, this is so ridiculous. Would I rather keep information to myself that I think might be helpful to someone else? Like, I want to share my journey that I'm just starting on, mind you. That's probably going to be not so flattering. It's going to be quite unflattering. I mean, I don't have anything yet to brag about. So I have to be really honest and say I've essentially failed up until now. And I've got to share that with the whole world and with people that I don't know, and people can say horrible things about me, and I've got to open myself up to that. And then I just realized, but so what? So what? At least you get to maybe help someone, and focus on that. Don't focus on what people are going to say about you, because it's not really about me. I mean, I'm the one delivering the message. It is about my journey, but it's not really about my ego, is what I'm trying to say. So, that is what I have to say about perfectionism. And those are the big reasons and the big things that have been holding me back. I think creative block is often discussed, but I don't think a lot of people really talk about the physical implications and what it really looks like. And it needs to also be said that being blocked, like I said, is a strategy. But everybody has their own favorite things they use to block themselves. So it will be different for everybody. But there are so many ways in which we block ourselves. I think I will make another video about just the workings of creativity and how I now understand it and how it helps me sort of stay on track. Because understanding how creativity works, I think, is half the battle won. So I will make a video about that. Until then, good luck. See you again soon.